that it was this weird circumstance in that weird trailer park, and I'd never had someone in that age range coming on to me before or flashing me before or behaving like that before. And I was in a really bad place and was just ridiculously stupid and selfish with all of the decisions that I made then.
And do you acknowledge that the victimization started when one of the victims was approximately 11 years old?
That sounds close, yes.
Is a normal life a constant day-to-day worry with severe flashbacks from all the PTSD someone has given you? Is it normal to feel that your family always has ulterior motives instead of love? Is it normal to want to hide in your house in a safe space whenever someone knocks on the door? Is it normal as a woman to go through puberty at the age of 21 because he injected me with testosterone to stop me from maturing into a woman?
Is it normal that he is up for parole? Up for parole already, just 7 years into a 305-year sentence. And I would say, no, it's not normal, but that wouldn't be the truth. You see, it is normal in Utah. We see multi-hundred-year sentences for the worst kinds of offenders, for monsters, yet parole eligibility immediately, because it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick in Utah. But this, what we just heard at the beginning, it's just the tip of the iceberg. This monster has a long range of crimes. It is unbelievable what he has been able to accomplish, and how the law enforcement and the DA, how they just allowed him to get away with it, as if almost as if they were complicit in it, as if they were encouraging him to do it. The evidence that they have on him and the idea that he is not locked away for life and the key thrown away is inexcusable. And you'll know what I mean when I go through the unpacking. It's absolute madness. But for now, take a step back. Let's watch this parole hearing, and I'll share the results with you and crazy information of this case at the end.
Mr. Morgan, you last appeared before the board in 2019 for an original hearing. The board ordered a rehearing for today with the expectation that you complete the sex offender treatment program. You do have a 9-year minimum sentence. The 9-year minimum sentence date is in December of 2025. You have a potential life sentence. Your sentencing guideline date is 79 months, which puts you at it was July of 2023. The board will look at all of those various dates and timeframes and take them into consideration moving forward. You were committed to prison on case number 161-800-387, forcible sexual abuse, third-degree felony. Case 161-403-495, attempted rape, first-degree felony, 3 separate counts. The facts and details of the offenses were discussed at your original hearing. The board has all of that information available for review, and the board will go back and review the facts of the cases prior to making a decision after today's hearing. I will not go over the entirety of those facts at today's hearing, as this is a rehearing. The purpose of today's hearing is to review everything that's occurred from your hearing in 2019 until now. We will also receive at least one of the people that was victimized by these offenses will provide testimony today. You'll have the opportunity to respond to that. If there's others that appear prior to the conclusion of the hearing that would like to provide testimony, who were also victimized by these offenses, they will also be provided that opportunity to give testimony. Mr. Morgan, it's my understanding that you have entered into and completed the sex offender treatment program. Is that accurate?
Yes.
If you could start with what you took responsibility for during the course of treatment, One of your statements in the board packet raised some concern for me in that it seemed to minimize the extent of the abuse that was perpetrated. The statement that you made in the board packet was that, quote, you attempted to engage in sex acts with the daughters of a woman who you had been dating, end quote. Now, I don't know if that was just your attempt to be brevity in regards to what actually occurred, or if that's all that you take responsibility for. So if you could start with that and then go through the course of treatment, what you learned during that program. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that was kind of a misunderstanding. I actually asked for help on how to fill that in, and they said, well, your 3 charges are attempted rape. So you talk about, so I was like trying to say that I attempted to rape them and like make it jive with the charges, but no, I take responsibility for all of the horrible things that I did and the ways that I hurt so many people with all of my mistakes and thinking errors back then. I wasn't in a good place. I wasn't in a good headspace. I didn't. One of the things that we worked on in therapy was having more positive views as women. And back then, a lot of times I tended to just, like, when I'd see a pretty woman, the first, like, it was more of an objectification. And now I've got all of these strategies for thinking about like what her hopes and dreams might be, or like what she might have wanted to be when she grew up. A whole bunch of different strategies to see them as a person and not as just an object. And but back then that was where my headspace was, and it's one of the reasons that I'm in here. It's but I'm certainly, I wasn't with that statement trying to exculpate in any way, if
So
that
you
was the
do,
question.
you admit to the offenses, all of the facts of the offenses as outlined in the offense summaries provided by adult probation parole and the pre-sentence investigation.
That is correct, yes.
And now you mentioned that during this time frame you objectified women. Now these were children that you sexually abused and raped. The abuse started when one of the victims was approximately 11 years old. Why do you think that you victimized children in this manner?
I think that, like, I had no idea at the time that I had any inclinations like that. And I wasn't in a stable place or an adult enough place to respond correctly. Like there was a lot of flirtation coming from the other side of the fence, like flashing titties and like trying to crawl into bed with me and kiss on me and stuff. And I wasn't equipped at all with how to properly cope with those kinds of things. I was in like this really crappy party boy mentality where you I can't explain logically why I did the things I did, because they don't even make any sense to me right now. But from this place and this perspective that I'm looking at, it's obvious that I made just atrocious errors of thinking, and if I could take it back, I would.
Do you think you have a deviant sexual attraction to children?
I don't. I've never come across that. It was this weird circumstance in that weird trailer park, and I'd never had someone in that age range coming on to me before, or flashing me before, or behaving like that before. And I was in a really bad place and was just ridiculously stupid and selfish with all of the decisions that I made then.
And do you acknowledge that the victimization started when one of the victims was approximately 11 years old?
That sounds close, yes.
in your statements today are that in the way that I understood what you're saying is you're blaming the 11-year-old in part for her actions as to the reasons you responded the way you did?
No, not at all. I was trying to say that I'd never been faced with anything like that before. I didn't have any kind of a pre-planned subroutine in my head for how to react to something like that, other than just like all of the party lifestyle that I've been living, where you react to that by going in a different direction than I should have. No, I'm not placing. I'm 100% responsible for my being here and for all of the lives around me that were damaged by my behavior.
Is it accurate that at some point during the time frame of these offenses that you used a taser to threaten the victim into having sexual intercourse?
I had a taser with me. We ran a wolf sanctuary and we used it sometimes to break up the fights. And I never tased anybody, but I can see how my possessing the taser when I wanted to have sex was like, that was how they said that I was using the taser to threaten the person to have sex with me.
What else have you been doing during the this incarceration period? You completed the sex offender treatment program. What else have you been doing?
I did MRT. I've learned 2 foreign languages. I've done a lot of study courses on investing and real estate and business and finance. And I've also really gotten into a lot of meditation and self-help, kind of metaphysics sort of things to try and understand like how that even happened from this perspective. It's hard to even feature that person was me who did those horrible things.
One of the options that the board has after today's hearing is to determine whether or not release would be appropriate. In the event that the board is inclined to consider a release, what are your release plans?
I have a job offer with TJD, and it's a property development company in Puerto Rico. The owner is Luca, and he's made a conditional job offer to me for acquiring some of these hurricane damaged properties and doing renovations and repairs on them to build them out. My wife lives in Puerto Rico currently, and that would be the place that I would be paroling to, were the board inclined to parole me. Other than that,
Was this your wife prior to incarceration?
yes.
Miss, if you're available and willing, I'd like to take your statement at this time. If you would go ahead and unmute, and you can provide whatever you would like the board to consider.
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I first want to start off by saying thank you for reading. Sorry. I first want to start off by saying thank you for letting me read this. I write this statement in hopes for you to understand from a victim standpoint. As these almost 8 years have passed, I've done everything I can to heal from the trauma this man and his family has caused me. And still to this day, I still come face to face with trauma that he caused, that I buried so deep because I never wanted to feel them again. How do you move on from something like this? How do you have a normal relationship? How can you trust anyone? The list goes on and on. The pain like this is caused is immense and a lifelong struggle you go through. As each day has gone by, I've done the best I can, trying to get back to what is called a normal life. and look into the future and live my life to the fullest. But let me ask you this. Is a normal life a constant day-to-day worry with severe flashbacks from all the PTSD someone has given you? Is it normal to feel that your family always has ulterior motives instead of love? Is it normal to want to hide in your house in a safe space whenever someone knocks on the door? Is it normal as a woman to go through puberty at the age of 21 because he injected me with testosterone to stop me from maturing into a woman? The innocence and the sense of identity this man stole from me when I was a child is something I can never get back. The fear of starting my own family is fear. The fear of starting my own family and fear of him getting out one day stops me right in my tracks. I know the past is not something anyone can change, and this is just a small glimpse of what I went through for the better part of 13 years of my life. And I know it is on me to do the work to heal myself as best I can. However, I do not think 8 years is enough for him to learn from his wrongdoing. And I believe if given the chance, he will offend again and hurt more little children and families. If anything were to come of this hearing, I ask for the ability to have the time to heal and get to know who I am without all the trauma and PTSD, without having the worry or fear of what he would do or how he would retaliate if he got out. These are not things anyone should have to worry or go through in any lifetime. And I deeply hope you feel the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thornburg, and thank you for your efforts to be here. As difficult it is to have to relive all of this and provide that statement for the board's consideration. One thing that you mentioned is 8 years. You don't think 8 years is enough. You're fearful that he'll reoffend, that you need time to heal. Did you have a recommended amount of time that you would like me to provide the board that you think would be appropriate?
I believe that he should serve all the sentences consecutive as what was agreed upon. I think that there should not be leniency. These are things that we are going to have to live through for the rest of our lives. And 8 years is not enough time to try and cover what he did.
Thank you. Mr. Morgan, is there anything that you would like to say in response to what you just heard?
There is no legitimate response for what I just heard. I've spent years wishing that I could change it, that I could undo it. I could go back and do things differently, but I can't. I am truly sorry.
Is there any general information that we haven't covered at today's hearing that you would like the board to know? And so you're aware of how this works. As a hearing officer, I don't make a decision in the matter. What I do is conduct hearings. I have done a thorough review of all the information that's in your file. I've reviewed all of the reports that have been submitted, both from the programming department, also from the institution. I've reviewed all of the letters that have been submitted, those that have been received by the people that were victimized by these cases, and I will provide all of this information over to 5 board members for their review. It will be up to those 5 board members to decide what happens moving forward. So with that, is there anything additional that you would like to state at today's hearing?
Just that I'm very, very sorry. I'm not the same human being who was originally locked up, who had committed these horrible acts. That I've grown and changed and developed so much over this time, and I've learned so much in therapy and self-reflection. Thank you for your time.
All right, I will get all of the information over to the board for their consideration. Generally, the board will deliberate for up to 3 weeks prior to making a decision. Once the decision has been made, it will be posted on the Utah Board of Pardon and Parole's website, and it will also be mailed out to you, Mr. Morgan. That will conclude the hearing.
Thank you. It's this button here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Mandalorians, what do you think Utah did? How do you think Utah handled this case? A repeat offender, someone locked up for over a 300-year sentence. Do you think that they granted? I mean, clearly he's still a danger. I mean, he's still blaming the young child for jumping onto him. He didn't know what to do, right? He's never had anything like that happen to him before. He was just a party animal, he was really not. He just, it was her fault. Well, Utah they granted parole effective 7/7/2026. Correct. His full term date, I mean, you can pull it up. You see it right here. The 4 charges that they have, three 100-year sentences and the 5-year sentence. When you look at his doc, his full term date is 23/16, but yet they granted, and it's only going to get worse. Okay? What I'm about to share with you is going to blow your mind. We have seen it all, but still, this surprises me. I simply cannot believe the incompetency, the lack of effort by the DA, by the judges, by the prosecution to put away a repeat serial offender. And they have all the evidence, decades worth of evidence. They have pictures, they have videos, they have witnesses, as we saw, willing to make statements. But no. They just get him off scot-free. Basically, it's disturbing. This one case we heard about, the woman being locked in the shed, this is just a drop in the bucket. Utah man held woman prisoner, demanded sex in exchange for food and water. Right. And just wait till we get into this. There's so much here that I really don't even know where to start. But a 37-year-old Sandy man has been charged with holding an 18-year-old woman prisoner in a shed in the county for about 6 weeks in 2014 while forcing her to perform acts in exchange for food and water. Jared was charged last week in 8th District Court with aggravated human trafficking, aggravated kidnapping, aggravated sexual assault, forcible and first-degree felonies punishable by life in prison. But as we know, life in prison is a gimmick. He has 3 life sentences. Morgan was booked Friday in Salt Lake County Jail, where he remained in lieu of bail. Now, probable cause statement filed with the court Monday stated that alleged crimes were reported by the county sheriff's official last week. According to the court documents, the alleged victim was 17 when she met Morgan in October 2013 after her mother began dating him, right? And now he has a wife already, and he's going to go to Puerto Rico where he can have more victims, right? The team told the police that Morgan became a father figure in her life and that she stayed at his cabin in Dutchess County with her mother and siblings. But after Morgan invited the teen to the cabin to help care for his puppies, and to get away from life stress, she found that there was no cots in the cabin. She got onto a cot with Morgan, who kissed her the night. And just wait till where this goes. You won't believe it. The alleged victim told investigators that she was not comfortable with this, but did not know how to respond. A year later, the alleged victim went back to the area cabin with Morgan, who locked her in his shed after they had a fight. She remained in the shed for days before Morgan told her that she had to eat rat excrement off the floor, drink her own urine, and not throw up before he would give her food. I didn't puke, the alleged victim told investigators, and Morgan gave her a small cup of water and a can of cold raviolis to eat. After that, Morgan would come to the shed and tell her that she would have to perform acts for food and water. The alleged victim said she didn't dare tell him no. The victim also described being forced to have with Morgan while he was wearing a firearm at his hip, while he was holding a stun gun charges. The alleged victim said, I hate the word alleged, was locked in the shed about the beginning of June 2014 and was not let out until the middle of July, June to July. And again, this is just this beginning. Just wait where this goes. She said that when Morgan drove her back to her parents' home in Sandy, he told her, if you tell her, I will end you. The alleged victim also described another female coming to the cabin a runaway from Sandy in 2012 with Morgan apparently had taken to Mexico to stay for the time she was 16 until she was 18, so she could come back to live with Morgan. Charges state. So, okay, there was another female who was a runaway who he had taken to Mexico until she turned 18. That's another victim here that's not even mentioned. The charging documents also claim that Morgan forced an alleged victim to change her appearance to hide her identity, concocted ruse about an alleged victim joining the military and cutting all ties with her family, and destroyed a cell phone to prevent contact with her family. But redactions in the document make it unclear which alleged victim is being referenced, the runaway or the woman held prisoner, right? So these are just two victims that are mentioned here. This is a professional abuser. In August 2012, Morgan was charged with Salt Lake County with 5 first-degree felonies for alleged sexual abusing Sandy girl beginning in 2006 when she was 12 years old, right? This is now something completely different. Until 2012 when she was 18. The case was dismissed about 8 months later. So again, here was a time that they had a chance and they dismissed it. Asked about the dismissal, the chief deputy of Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office said, changes in the evidence of subsequent filing caused prosecutors to believe they didn't have reasonable likelihood to go to trial. But wait till I share with you about with all the evidence and the insanity of this case. Just wait, because what they said there is nothing short of insane. Remember what I said, how they had cell phone footage, video footage? Right. Okay. So let me go over all of this. And thank you, Holly, for providing this research. Holly, for many of you who don't know, is helping with the research along with Sir Richard. She's from Australia. She is a former officer in the Air Force and is just an incredible researcher. This is the emoji that Sir Richard designed for her. It's now part of the membership emoji if you want to drop it as a thank you to Holly. Thank you, Holly. Now let's get back in here, but she is killing it. She's, I mean, you know, we're just blessed. We are blessed to have a former Navyman and Sir Richard and the submarines and now Air Force, and blessed that they're getting along, right? I mean, I heard the Air Force, Navy, right? Anyways, Sandy police have opened a new investigation into a man recently charged with human trafficking for allegedly locking a young girl in a shed. So let me go here. Morgan previously charged in 3rd District Court in 2012 with SA, sodomy, and aggravated SA of a child, and the case was dismissed in 2013 after prosecutors said they can no longer proceed with the likelihood of achieving conviction. Just wait for this. In that case, that they dropped the charges. The charges allege that Morgan was assaulting the 12-year-old daughter of a woman he was dating beginning in 2006, according to the court documents, but the girl ran away from home and disappeared from authorities. This is what they put in writing. By the way, the girl did not run away from home. He kidnapped her and took her to a shed and kept her there in his house until she turned 18. The girl did not run away. He kidnapped her and took her to this home until she turned 18. I'll repeat that again. And with all of this information that the DA and prosecution knew when it came to the next girl who was 18 in a shed, they still gave him a 1-year deal with time served before they had any other charges, any other convictions. They gave this monster 1 year with time served. And we'll get into that if you want to read it yourself. On Thursday, search warrants unsealed in 3rd District Court to indicate that the police are looking again at that case, as well as potential new charges involving Morgan and the same girl, as well as her sister. Yes, her sister was involved. From August 2012 until September of 2016, the girl's mother never heard from her daughter and feared that she was possibly dead. It's just, I'm sorry if I sound whiny, and I'm sorry if I'm doing redundancy. I get it, and I'll forgive you for it. There's a YouTuber that I like, I think it's called Criminal Minds, and he sounds to me really, really whiny. And I don't like him for that reason, but I found out that if I put him at 1.5x speed or 2x speed, the whininess goes away and I just hear the content. So if I'm whiny to you, try that. Maybe it will help solve the problem. I won't be offended. I get it is whiny, but I just don't know how else to talk about this because it's so insane. From August 2012 until August 2016. So her little daughter disappears. I don't know. I never heard. She must have been dead, the Warren states. However, after Morgan was arrested, the girl contacted her mother again. So once he was arrested, she contacted her mother. The girl stated that from August 2012 through September 2016, she had been living in Idaho, camping near a lake, and eventually moved to the Arizona-Mexico border, where she lived in a one-bedroom apartment with David Morgan, Jared's brother, this Roach's brother, until the time she was 18 and would no longer be listed as a runaway. So she's groomed, she's brainwashed, she's the whole thing. These brothers are doing that. They have a serial history of doing this. The warrant affidavit states that Morgan's parents also sent money to the home on the Mexico border during the time the girl was missing. So their parents were helping them do this, and you'll see just how sick and the involvement of their parents are with this. The girl and her sister met Jared in 2005 when one was 9 and the other was 11. And ladies and gentlemen, we heard out it's their fault. They were coming on to him, right? He didn't know what to do. He's a party boy, right? Of course. Throughout the next several years, their mother said that Jared began to manipulate the family until he was able to sink his hooks into the girl and her sister. Jared made them believe that he was the only ones they needed by showering them with gifts and narcotics. Everyone needs to be in prison. Their mom, it's just the DA, like it's sick. In the interview with the girl, she disclosed that she had been manipulated by Jared and conditioned to believe that he was all she needed. Again, we're talking about babies. According to the search warrant affidavit filed in 2012 in the 3rd District Court, the girl and her sister were frequently sexually abused by Jared and David, the brothers, and both girls said they were filmed. Compromising video and pictures were found on David Morgan's computer, according to the search warrant. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, they have witness testimony. They have video footage, pictures. This is the evidence that they have. Why is he not locked away for life? And they knew this. Remember, they knew this. They had this information available to them when he was first being charged with locking the girl in the shed. And even with this information, they still gave him the 1-year plea deal. Why is there not like public outrage over this stuff? And then the parole board grants. The other alleged victim, I hate that word. The warrants also outline more of the, I can say victims because there are charges for it. The abuse the girls held hostage in this. The girl he used the taser on as a constant reminder that if she did not comply, she would get hurt, the warrant states. The girl also said that Jared always carried a Glock hanging on his hip, both at the cabin and in the parents' house. The new warrants were served on October 7th at the home of Morgan's parents. So now they serve a warrant at his parents, where Jared often stayed. Whether Morgan's parents knew what was happening in the house was unclear. I believe they knew everything, and you'll find out why I believe that. Based on the warrants, though, the investigator noted that the girl also said she would come upstairs. So this is what the warrant says. The girl would come upstairs crying, a child. And Morgan's mother would hug her and tell her to be strong. Be strong. Be strong so my son can continue to abuse you. Sick. At one point, that girl and the other girl who ran away from the home allegedly agreed to a relationship with Morgan at the same time, the warrant states. And again, they didn't run away from the home. They were kidnapped. They were brought into their home. The warrant who served at the house, I have to block that. If you see that address, please tell me so I can block it. Room investigators said that they found a lab setup consistent with the production of meth and making explosives. And so they also found all this. They could have locked him away just for that longer than he's serving now. A bomb squad to the FBI Drug Enforcement Administration were called to the scene. According to the search warrant, the National Guard responded and tested several of the items. As of Thursday, no charges have been filed against Morgan's parents. I don't know what has happened there, if they've been charged or not. Now, let me show you one more thing. So here are the cowardly prosecution in all their wisdom, right? They have one job. And this is what they do. A handwritten note on a plea document filed in 8th District Court earlier this month say Jared Morgan wrote the prosecutors that the prosecutors could prove the element of a single offense, and I'm relieving the state of that burden through my contest plea. So he took a plea deal. Let's go back to the top. A case that began with startling allegations of human trafficking was whittled down to a plea of no contest for a single count of attempted forcible abuse. This is the girl who's stuck in the shed. Mind you, they knew everything else, right? Because they had dropped those other charges before. Prosecutors allege that at the time Morgan was held, an 18-year-old woman captive in a shed for weeks in 2014, forcing her to perform acts in exchange for food. In February, just prior to preliminary hearing, prosecutors amended the charges, dropping the human trafficking charge as well as allegations of SA. I don't know why you would do that, but okay. Morgan was charged with 5 counts of forcible SA and 1 count of aggravated kidnapping, first-degree felonies, following the woman's testimony during preliminary hearing. So she gets on the stand. She gives her preliminary testimony. I think she's the one who we heard from today. As you can tell, she's willing to do that. But the coward prosecutors amended the charge on September 7th as part of Morgan's plea deal, a week before the jury trial was set to begin, leaving him facing just 1 count of attempted forcible assault of 3rd degree. These psychopaths. Morgan was sentenced the same day. Guess what he was sentenced to? Up to 5 years in prison, but it was suspended. And Morgan was ordered to spend a year in jail with credit for time served and 36 months probation. See? And that's what this is. That's this charge. So everything he did to her by putting her in the shed was this charge. And now they didn't yet have him on anything else. So as far as the DA was concerned, that was all he was going to get for everything that he did. And they knew about him kidnapping the little girls and assaulting them and everything else at this point, but they didn't care. Prosecutor said at the time, he noted that Morgan is still facing charges of SAing 2 young girls in Sandy, and he's currently in custody in Salt Lake on $1 million bail. So again, they knew about this, and they only gave him that little charge, and that's insane. And don't give me the excuse, well, he's facing those charges, so just let them get. No, that doesn't make sense. And you can't rely on that. It's just they have no passion with their job. They'd want to prosecute him to the fullest, and they don't. And they have a woman who's willing to take the stand. We heard from her. We heard her testimony here today. Search warrants unsealed in the Duchess case revealed that a victim in a dismissed 2012 Salt Lake case has resurfaced. Remember the case they resurfaced because she ran away? No, she was kidnapped. And you know, it's funny. Remember, she was kidnapped and taken to this home. They could have cracked this case if they put 1 second of effort into it. His parents were sending him money. They could have any sting operation, any little bit of investigation, they could have tracked him down. But instead, they just let a girl disappear. And then they dropped the charges to insult to injury. In December, new charges were filed against Morgan in 3rd District Court in Connecticut with the girls as well as her sister. That case is ongoing. Morgan is charged with 3 counts of sodomy and child, aggravated SA, forcible assault, 6 counts, aggravated all first-degree felonies. He was charged with kidnapping and distribution of controlled substance, 2nd degree. He is, and do you notice that they don't have charges of manufacturing CP? Nope. He is that's too easy, of course. He's next scheduled to appear in court on September 25th at West Jordan. According to charges 2005, Morgan began dating Sandy Woman, who had 2 daughters. By 2006, he was essaying both the girls, ages 12 and 14 at the time. The girls' family claimed Morgan was able to sink his hooks into the girls and her sister by showering them with gifts, according to the court documents. By 2012, the mother discovered what was happening. Morgan was charged, but after he was charged with abusing one of the daughters, the girl ran away with him. I can't believe how they write this. The girl did not run away with him. She's 12 years old. He kidnapped her. What is wrong with you? The charges state. The charges. This is not. Morgan is accused of hiding her in Idaho, Arizona until she turned 18. After the girl turned 18, she returned to Utah in 2014 and asked authorities to take her off the missing person database, and still refused to cooperate with Sandy police. Can you even imagine? Refuse to cooperate? Like it doesn't make a difference if she refused to cooperate. She was kidnapped by him as a child, taken across borders. She does not need to cooperate. According to the department, it wasn't until after the girl met the victim in Dutchess County and Morgan was arrested that she agreed to cooperate. She doesn't need to. Am I nuts? Guys, am I missing something? Who are these police officers? Or ADA, that's making these decisions? Is it who is it? Morgan's brother David is also charged at their district court in connection with the 2 sisters. He is charged with sexual exploitation of a minor. Second degree felony. He also faces charges of unlawful sexual activity with a minor, 2 counts of unlawful sexual conduct with a 16 or 17-year-old. And did you notice there that they still don't get him with the manufacturing of CP? Prosecutors claim in 2008 one of the sisters was pawned off to David when she was 14 and then continued to abuse her. Investigators found evidence of the abuse recorded on his phone. They have evidence of the abuse recorded on his phone, and they don't have the charge of manufacturing CP. A 2-day jury trial for David is scheduled on November 6 and 18, a final pretrial conference, and said they gave him the plea deal. And as we know, they paroled him. And ladies and gentlemen, this is insane. There is no logic. There's no reason that he was given parole. There was no reason he's not locked up for life. There is no reason they didn't throw every single charge of the book on him. None. Zero. But we have just watched it, and that is why we do this, because the world needs to see that our system is corrupt. It is broken. There is no way that see, the thing is, I think it's safe to say that about 99% of the people watching this, if you want to be 98%, are going to be disgusted by watching this, which means that the 1 to 2% who are not disgusted, who is that? Is that the DAs and those are the people that are really deciding for everybody else what is justice? That's nuts. If all of us know it's nuts, then why is it that it keeps happening over and over and over again? The only reason that I can have, outside of, maybe the DAs are into children themselves. Maybe they're just lazy. Maybe they've given up. I don't know what it is. But the biggest reason is that we don't know about it. The 99% is not aware of it until now. And eventually, this stuff is going to, there's going to be a boiling point, and it's just going to, the rooster is going to come to nest. That's what I hope. I hope that this can bring about change. And with that, I'll let you go.
I write this statement in hopes for you to understand from a victim standpoint. As these almost 8 years have passed, I've done everything I can to heal from the trauma this man and his family has caused me. And still to this day, I still come face to face with trauma that he caused, that I buried so deep because I never wanted to feel them again. How do you move on from something like this? How do you have a normal relationship? How can you trust anyone? The list goes on and on. The pain like this is caused is immense and a lifelong struggle you go through. As each day has gone by, I've done the best I can, trying to get back to what is called a normal life and look into the future and live my life to the fullest. But let me ask you this. Is a normal life a constant day-to-day worry with severe flashbacks from all the PTSD someone has given you? Is it normal to feel that your family always has ulterior motives instead of love? Is it normal to want to hide in your house in a safe space whenever someone knocks on the door? Is it normal as a woman to go through puberty at the age of 21 because he injected me with testosterone to stop me from maturing into a woman? The innocence and the sense of identity this man stole from me when I was a child is something I can never get back. His wrongdoing, and I believe if given the chance, he will offend again and hurt more little children and families. If anything were to come of this hearing, I ask for the ability to have the time to heal and get to know who I am without all the trauma and PTSD, without having the worry or fear of what he would do or how he would retaliate if he got out. These are not things anyone should have to worry or go through in any lifetime. And I deeply hope you feel the same. Thank you.